I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. The Carver School Committee on Monday, May 13th, 2013, and this is the May meeting, so this is when we reorganize. It's the one time I chair the meeting for about 3 minutes. I'd like to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So at this time, I'd like to take nominations for chairperson of the Carver School Committee for the next year.
I would like to make a motion to appoint Lance to the position of chairperson again.
I'll second that.
And are you willing?
I am willing, yes.
So is there any discussion? So we'll have a vote. All those in favor of Lance as the chair of the school committee?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's done now. It's all yours, Lance.
All right. With that, I will listen for a motion for vice chairperson.
Okay, well, I can nominate two people, right? So I'll make a motion to nominate Ms. Gina Kavicki as the vice chair. Welcome back.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have first, I guess? Gina, are you going to accept?
Yes, I am.
Do we have any discussion on that? Or do we have any other, do I welcome any other motions as well?
Sure.
All right, do we have any other motions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Gina, welcome.
Thank you. It's nice to be back.
Recording secretary. Do we have a?
Which means secretary of the executive
Yes,
session
our
minutes.
executive session is, as I learned from experience, takes a skilled individual, and James has done it well for the last year, but
Very nice.
typically this has gone to our newest of members, and seeing as both of our members have been previous school committee members, and Gina has a role, I would like to
That's right.
nominate Barry for the role of recording secretary.
I'll second it.
Barry, would you be willing to do that?
Absolutely.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very welcome.
You gotta give me some tips, James.
All right, our subcommittees, the policy subcommittee. You listed about how many we needed on there for each one, or do you want to kind of give us a brief overview of those?
Well, the policy committee has periods of times when there's a lot of action, and we haven't had that for the last 2 years. But we're in the process of a coordinated program review, which looks at all of our civil rights and special education policies and employment policies, and there are some that need to be updated. So this will require probably 2 summer meetings that we would bring to the August committee. So 1 or 2 people would be best.
Okay.
I'll do it.
Can I just say, jump ahead for 1 second too? I'm noticing that our negotiations are starting in
Further down.
2015 or 2016. We, in the past, have had a little overlap with people either not running again or not getting elected again. I'm up next year. I don't know who else is, but I wonder if we should just think about how we're going to structure those. Do we want to consider who might be up or who may not?
Well, we need custodians and food services for sure.
Yep.
The rest, and bus drivers. The rest can wait, a little while, but.
Well, or even just going ahead tonight, but maybe I don't go on any. I don't know. I'm always willing,
That's both.
but I just wanted to prevent that
Sure.
problem we had last
Fine
time.
with
So
me.
that was just a thought that I wanted to share.
All right, well, let's move back to policies. We have Gina's expressed interest. Anyone else that expressed interest in being on the policy?
I'll do it.
All right. Is that one we need to elect as well, or can we just
You can just appoint them.
appoint them? Okay. Then I would like to appoint Gina and Paula to that. Capital outlay. I have been on that and have enjoyed it. Is there anyone else interested in that I don't mind passing that if someone else would like interest in that.
That's all right.
I will continue that then. Oh, I missed superintendent's evaluation, sorry.
Well, that's usually the chair and vice chair.
Yep. So Lance and Gina. Building committee. James, are you interested in that?
Yes.
I knew you expressed that in the past.
The chair is usually part of it as well.
Yep.
You can have any number of members. The whole committee can be on it if
Sure.
you want to.
And as far as the capital outlay goes, Lance, I mean, as far as trying to cover that, I would have no problem trying to share that or help
Great.
out with that also, if that's necessary.
And I found this year the meetings aren't, we met about 4 times, and Ron is great with that, so
Okay.
definitely. All right, negotiations. So teacher, is that still set, chair and vice chair? Or have we changed that?
That's usually the chair and the vice chair.
All right.
It's more of a tradition than it is.
Well, we can, open to changing that, but there was no real work this next year. Paraprofessionals, as again, another contract that is good until 2016. Anyone interested in?
Want to put me on something?
Barry?
I'll do
Yes.
that.
Sounds good. Custodians, that is one that will need to be worked on in the next year.
I'd take that.
Okay, James? Food service, again, another one that will fall in the next year.
I can do that.
Secretaries, that's off for a year, but Gina, would you be willing to sit on
Sure.
that to balance off the group here? And then last but not least, bus drivers. And I don't mind.
I'd be
Okay.
willing
Yep,
either way.
sure. James, you said as well?
Sure.
Sure.
Occasionally what comes up is you can't make a meeting, and we really should have somebody there from the school committee every time. So in general, what I do is turn to the chair and ask them to appoint somebody to come to the meeting that someone else has to miss. So
Sounds good.
just to have continuity and to keep the process moving.
So now the appointing authority for the Old Colony Regional District Committee. So it looks like I'm automatically on there. And then we need 2 other members to join me.
We can't get, they only have 1 member, we're supposed to have 2, and we've been working for 2 years to get the second member on the Old Colony School Committee, so hopefully we'll get somebody to appoint.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So that would be members at large then, not school committee members.
Yes,
Community members, yes.
yeah, the members of the community, but
Because I remember the gentleman just stepped down.
Yeah.
Who has been serving for us.
right.
Gotcha. All right.
So then there has to be 2 other people other than you to share with the Board of Selectmen the appointing authority. So it's you plus 2 school committee members.
Oh, so it is 2 school committee members.
But we have 2 members on their Board of
as well.
Directors.
Gotcha,
yeah.
that's where my
You,
confusion
you
comes
can
from.
put me on there. I think I'm currently on there. I'll just stay on.
Okay.
It's fine.
And
Want to add me too?
And Barry, all right. That rounds out our group. All right, well, thank you all for your willingness to serve. And I would like to throw it out there too. As we look at our subcommittees, if there's a group that we feel, I know, and I guess as we get to some other discussions in the one we have, but in my experiences with other school committees, I know there's different, whether it's a wellness group or some other, there's different levels, and maybe if there's topics that come up that we feel we need a subcommittee for, it's always open to the group to bring your suggestions forward, so I just want to let you know. I guess this is probably kind of an ebb and flow.
Yeah, I think
of
Gina
groups
is
that
on
we've
our
had already.
wellness committee to renew the wellness plan
Great.
already.
Yes.
She was on as a community member before.
Great. Sounds
Right now,
good.
we don't have any other standing committees.
Yep. Sounds good. All right, well, thank you all. With that, I would like to move up some item agendas tonight, and one, we have our guests from the culinary team, and I want to keep you from your homework, so we'd love to welcome you up and come share with us about what's going on with our culinary team. So come on up.
I'm just the guy who gets all the work.
If you would come up to the mic and just introduce yourself and share what's going on.
Exactly, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I get to stop.
I guess
Why,
so.
thank you.
First of all, we'd like to thank you for having us here today. As you may have known, we had another successful year in the culinary arts department. The culinary team itself, March 6th, took second place in the Mass Pro Star competition, but our management team, for the third year in a row, won the state title. Over April vacation, Justin, Dana, and 3 other kids who couldn't be here today with baseball games and work, we ended up taking 8th in the nation.
Congratulations.
So over the past 2 years,
Amazing.
Carver Middle High School in Massachusetts, because we represent not just our town, we represent the whole state. Last year, we took 7th in the nation in culinary arts. This year, 8th in the nation in management. And it's all because of them. What we did is, I had a couple extra copies of our business proposal, which is right in front of you. For the management competition, the students have to create a restaurant business plan. Now, there are some parts of the business plan that we're not allowed to put in their financials. And what we did is we created a responsible restaurant. And the funny thing is, when we talk with all these other schools, they're like, so when did you start? Dana started this last April. That business proposal that you're looking at has how many thousand words? Say it. 14,000 words. 3 pages on the bibliography. They worked so hard on this, and it is amazing. Plus, this year, I was very fortunate because I had my own mentor. Mr. Maha came in, volunteered his time every week, endless texting and emails, and he really helped put this whole program together. And I've always said this, I get a lot of credit for the success of the culinary. I get lucky. I get lucky because the Carver school system is just phenomenal. They don't get like this because of 2 years with me. But if you want to say so, that's okay. I'll take that.
I'll say it again if I see some food in this.
I remember last year
think we
during
keep
the
having this
Thanksgiving, you said,
discussion.
if you keep winning, I gotta start bringing food in.
This is true.
It's a fictional restaurant. So in front of you is fictional food. But they do really well, and I'm so impressed by what they do all the time. Mr. Maha worked it out so that we actually were able to have the presentation that they performed in competition. I think we're going to try to pull that up for you.
Oh, cool.
Great.
Which, as we always like to go back to rubrics, you'll probably see one of the best presentations I've ever seen, to the point where everybody else was like, oh my God, you know. What do you guys want to say? You did all the work. Nothing? Not too much.
Well, share a little bit about your experience at the competitions.
How was it different this year from last year, or what did you like best, or?
This was actually my first year competing in this, so this was all new to me.
I went last year with the culinary team, so I kind of knew my way around. Everybody was asking me questions because I knew what the schedule was, I guess. I just like being there because you can see basically 45 to 50 states, kids from all over the country who just love the same things as you do, so it's a pretty awesome environment to be in.
It was a little easier this year because we only had one team competing. With 2 teams the last 2 years, it was nonstop. And I don't think the kids, they had a great experience both times, but they couldn't fully enjoy the experience. I was able to sleep. That was a little different.
Sleep's good.
Unfortunately, I have to make sure that we have 2 teams going back next year because I didn't like just having one team. So we're already working on that for next year right now.
Great. So we have the presentation.
Just like I said, it was a real pleasure working with these kids, and they gave me the opportunity to do that, which I thank them for. They've got a great coach and mentor in Chef Portland's, who set the tone, was the leader, had the vision, but the kids really pulled it off. They're a great group of kids, and the nice thing about this one is they were so diverse in their personalities, approaches, And I think that was part of the strength of the team, that they were all so different, and they all brought a little bit of a different element in, and they complemented each other very, very well. So, and they did an awful lot of hard work, and they listened to suggestions, sometimes they took them, sometimes they didn't. But in the end, I mean, they just did such a fantastic job. They did certainly one of the best presentations down there, obviously the best in the state, but they did one of the best down there too. So I'm going to bring this up to a starting point. Right about there. And this takes about 10 minutes or so.
Maybe.
Good morning. Today, my associates and I would like to present to you not only a restaurant, but a concept. You see, over the past few years, words like sustainable have been used to describe everything from cleaning products to cities. Yet within the context of the food service industry, there is no standard by which we can make this claim. Because of this, today we present to you a new concept, one which consumers can both easily relate to and define. That concept is responsibility. To be responsible, to be liable to be called to account is the primary cause, motive, or agent of any action. We will uphold our commitment to responsibility through such actions as conserving energy and composting our waste. With that being said, I would now like to introduce you to Genesis, the responsible restaurant.
Located just minutes away from public transportation and public parking, Genesis will be a 60-seat, fine dining restaurant housed in a pre-existing one-story restaurant situated on a corner lot in the heart of the downtown district. With its 2 walls of windows, the building itself will provide the restaurant with an open and refreshing feeling. To maximize foot traffic, our hours of operation will coincide with the hours of local attractions. We will responsibly utilize all the building space, from storage in the basement to the construction of a rooftop garden. Our intent for the interior is to have 3 effects: create a pleasing ambiance for a contemporary rustic theme, save money and promote environmental responsibility, and lastly, emphasize the connection between customers and their food. The contemporary rustic theme will be made through a balance of old and new. Genesis will highlight how sustainability can be achieved through the repurposing of furnishings and the use of new sustainable products. For example, our tables and bar will be made from repurposed wood that has been salvaged from an abandoned church, and our chairs will be recycled from the city's library. The bar will give customers who are waiting for a table someplace comfortable to bide their time, and will also bring in extra revenue for the restaurant. Our walls will be painted a light green to complement the wood grain of these furnishings, while adding to the open, airy feeling within the restaurant. Combined with the use of natural light, Genesis uses several dimming systems that allows us to adjust for time of day and the amount of light entering through the windows at any given time. With the use of EcoSmart LED bulbs that use 80% less energy than standard bulbs, Genesis will be eligible for a federal tax deduction due to the reduction of our energy consumption. Our windowless wall will display artwork of local artists from within the community that reflects the changing seasons as our menu does. The most important concept of our interior is the open kitchen, which connects the customer to their food by allowing the customer to watch their food as it's being prepared. With the integration of these elements, the interior at Genesis will further blend the connection between customers and their food. Designed to match the changing of the seasons and the availability of food, our menu will utilize products that are produced locally. Not only will this provide our customers with the freshest food, but through a commitment to these local products, Genesis will act responsibly towards the environment by reducing the amount of energy used to transport the goods to our restaurant. Our menu will blend modern cooking styles with classic French techniques, also known as New American cuisine. Highlighting the natural flavors of these in-season products, New American cuisine is a perfect match for the local, contemporary, and sustainable fine dining experience that Genesis will provide. Creating the menu at Genesis will be a continuous process. While each season will start with a basic pre-planned menu, like the typical fall menu shown here, the specific ingredients on the menu will change due to their availability and freshness. Any changes to the menu will always be reflected on our website, and customers can access this website using the QR code located at the bottom of the menu. The best way to understand how the menu at Genesis effectively combines the concepts of flavor and versatility is to truly follow one of its items from farm to table. Take, for example, the pan-seared table scallop with butternut squash done 2 ways. Each scallop is purchased the morning it is brought in on a local fishing boat that's been registered on Trace and Trust. With butternut squash, local and in season, the scallops are paired with the butternut squash done 2 ways: a butternut squash and pancetta salad and a smooth squash puree. Furthermore, any of the pieces of the squash that are not put into the dish are either put into the stock with the puree or the butternut squash and apple soup, which is a separate menu item. By allowing each product to be used to its fullest, Genesis will minimize its waste and save money simultaneously. Lastly, the dish is topped with a wilted Brussels sprout and apple slaw, 2 items which can also be included in the soup or the stock. If any of the specific ingredients of this item is no longer available, they can easily be replaced, such as substituting the butternut squash with the sweet potatoes already purchased for our gnocchi entree. Although other restaurants may meticulously follow where their food is coming from, Genesis is set apart because it extends this information to the customer, allowing them to develop a connection with the food that they are eating. Located on the right-hand side of every menu will be a list of the names of the farmers and fishermen who have provided Genesis with the menu ingredients. For those customers who have ordered fish, upon receiving their bill, they will also receive a small card with the tracking number of their fish. By logging on to the Trace and Trust website, customers can view where their fish was caught, when it was caught, and on what boat it came in. Additionally, customers can use the real-time farm link on our website to view all the suppliers and distributors that we use throughout the year. By making this information readily available, Genesis will show its transparency as a business and ultimately secure a sustainable and interested customer base.
Our target market are a group of people classified as young professionals from the ages of 24 to 40 with a median income of $50,000 to $55,000 a year. A young professional is usually college educated and is a socially conscious buyer, which means they buy a product based on principle. And in a recent study, 63% of people surveyed from the ages of 15 to 40 consider themselves socially conscious buyers. And we reach out to our target market using a 2-pronged approach. First, through our website. Our website is an interactive way for Genesis to reach out to its customers. In addition to the typical Google search, customers will be able to simply take out their smartphone, scan the QR code at the bottom of the menu, and within seconds have the entire website in the palm of their hands. Now I invite you all after the presentation to come up here, scan the QR code for yourselves, and see how easy it is to connect with Genesis. Once on the website, customers will be able to browse through our constantly changing menu, post a comment, and make a reservation. The more inquisitive customer will be able to trace back their meals by using realtimefarms.com and the Trace and Trust website. To assess our return on investment, we use the services of visitortrack.com to determine the number of hits and how long a customer has been on our website, because studies show that the longer somebody's on your website, the more likely it is that they're going to eat there. Our second approach has more of a grassroots feel to it. We will be an active member in the local farmers markets by performing chef demonstrations using the products that the farmers have produced. After the chef demonstrations, we'll let anybody attending the farmers market sample our food, hopefully leaving them craving more. The best part of our marketing plan is that the cost is minimal. We're responsible with our money, and responsibility is what Genesis is about. The detail-oriented approach which we have taken to fulfilling our promise and responsibility will extend to all aspects of the restaurant. We have proven this today with everything from our purposeful location on a corn lot to maximize income and light, to our conscious efforts to buy local and educate consumers through our marketing plan. This will culminate in Genesis being a restaurant that pleases not only the food connoisseur, but also the environmental activist. We believe this will make Genesis one, if not the most successful restaurant in Prostarville, and here's why. Last year, even in an economic downturn, the food service industry increased in sales by 2.9%. Now, as for the target audience of our restaurant, a recent study found that 2/3 of restaurant consumers did not believe that the restaurant industry was doing enough to fulfill their social and environmental responsibilities. That same study found an even greater number. 70% of consumers will be more or much more likely to eat at a restaurant if it fulfilled such a responsibility. You see, Genesis is a product not only of social responsibility, but supply and demand. This is why we believe Genesis will be able to secure a reliable and sustainable customer base for years to come. Thank you. We truly appreciate all your time. I would now like to open the floor for any questions you may have.
I guess it was about 11 o'clock last night. I was reading the concept, and I said, I wonder if this QR code on your menu really works.
You want to try it?
It already did. So nice job on that. But it reminds me, and with your presentation, about a lot of work that's going into keeping up with your customers. I mean, you're doing a great job of communicating who it is you're buying your product from and the things that are important for me as a customer to know. How are you keeping up with all that? Who's going to do that in your team?
Well, written within our business proposal, we said that as the business grows, in about 3 months, we're going to assess who we have hired, and we're going to see, okay, if our business is really expanding, we're going to hire a person who's our media coordinator. So this person will be in charge of the website, the Twitter, everything, just making sure that everything is updated. And this person can also have access to the visitor track service that Craig talked about, and they'll be able to see if it's the same people coming to the website, if it's new people, is a lot of people coming after the farmers market demonstration, so we'll be able to see if we're getting that new customer base.
Okay, I gotta say, the visual cues are quite appealing. You mentioned direct advertising, public relations, and the marketing plan reliant on both of those things. Can you talk about what the thought process was around that?
Yeah, so we went for the two-pronged approach. So our idea was, as far as the chef demonstrations, the idea with chef demonstrations was to attract new customers. The chef demonstrations were aimed at people who have not ever seen this restaurant. They could try the food firsthand, see what it's like, and now hopefully attract, like I said, the new customers. The website and the social media marketing, everything like that, that's aimed at keeping your customers longer. It's aimed at keeping them informed. They know about your restaurant, and they just if they constantly are seeing it every day, like on their Facebook page, or they can go on the website, scan the QR code, they're going to keep in contact. Genesis is going to be in front of their mind. Everybody's attached to internet nowadays. It's about the world.
If I could just elaborate on that. Well, at the farmers market, after the demonstration, there's going to be a QR code that people are going to be able to come up and scan. And scan the QR code, and you go to menu of the day, or recipe of the day, and you click on the recipe, and then you got the ingredients and how to make it, so you can go home and try it yourself.
Love the concept. Also love the tagline, responsible restaurant. Take me through, or take us through the how you chose the name Genesis and the icon.
So we were thinking about what to call our restaurant. We knew we wanted to do something with this responsible idea. And so we started thinking about the concepts. I think the biggest thing in the restaurant is the buying local part. I think that's the most important thing that just about anybody can commit to, is buying fresh, buying local, where they're coming. So we thought of the word Genesis. So Genesis comes from a Greek word which means origin. So people, when they come to Genesis, Genesis is a transparent restaurant. They're going to get the trace and trust card. They can see where their fish is coming from. They know where everything's coming from. It's coming within the community. They know the origin of their food. So Genesis.
How did you decide on the size of the restaurant? If there's 60 seats or 20 tables, what was your thought process on that?
We decided to start off with 60 seats so that we have room to grow. The spacing, which it does seem like a lot of spacing, but once you're actually in the restaurant, it's going to be a little bit smaller and it'll be more tight-knit. But Having this workspace allows us to accommodate customers and parties, and also with our food demonstrations, it allows us to remove seats to allow chef demonstrations and allows us to make total use of the whole entire dining room floor.
So one more question. The role of the general manager is going to be pretty complex because they're going to also not only run the restaurant, I think that's the supply chain and the sourcing, right, with the farmers, and then they're going to do all the social media. And you thought about maybe dividing up some of those duties?
Yeah, so when the business first starts, we're definitely going to have the general manager and the chef really pilot the where we get our food from, like visiting the farms and just talking to our purveyors. And that's why we going to have the policy about every 3 months we're going to reassess, we're going to see if we need more positions. So I think when we first start off, we may be able to get away with having the general manager and chef share those duties, but definitely as we grow as a business, hopefully we'll definitely need more staff.
Why do we invest in your concept versus the multiple concepts we're going to listen to today?
You know, I think a lot of the people who maybe come today are probably going to follow a big trend. It's going to be something that not a lot of people can relate to. So our restaurant, it's responsible. Responsibility, everybody understands to be responsible. You know that your food's going to be served responsibly, the manager's going to be responsible. But it's also sincere, I think. We actually originally, if I can ramble for a second, the original concept we started with was a sustainable restaurant. We were thinking sustainable, that sounds great. And then we started looking into it. We started finding it's kind of more of a buzzword than something sincere that restaurants and people can relate to. Everybody we told we were going to be sustainable, they said, well, what does it mean to be sustainable in a restaurant? And we just started listing off stuff we weren't really quite sure ourselves all the time. So I think because we're a responsible restaurant, people get that. They know my food is coming from the right place. These are the people I want to buy my food from. It's staying in the community, and it's sincere.
Great, thank you.
You don't, if you could see me in the back the whole time, I'm shaking.
Well, you were definitely the only one because I want to commend you on your poise. I mean, it's not just about the product that you were presenting. Your poise in presenting it as well shows your professionalism and a lot of practice, a lot of memorizing, a lot of preparing. You're able to handle all the questions, and I just want to commend you on the great work in your presentation as well.
And I would like to tell you that the closing came from our superintendent. When we came here in this room to present, she said, it was good, but you really need that knockout punch. And we worked on that knockout punch since we saw it. I think just how we, and that was the beauty of working with these students. You say, we could do this, and then the next thing you know, it was done. And hopefully I have the same group coming back to mentor my kids next year. Hint, hint. But thank you so much for your time.
And great job. And I did check out your QRS code, and it worked great. And your website looks tremendous. So great work.
Chef, do you know if there were any other non-vocational school programs there?
It's always amazing when we go there. In the state, we're the smallest school that competes. And we have quite a run right now. I did the math a little early today. In 6 years, the culinary team has won 2 gold medals, 2 silver medals. In the 4 years we competed in management, we've won 3 gold medals and a bronze medal. I think we're only one of 2 schools in the state that are non-vocational. The team that I always look at, and I actually have it written on my wall at home, is Kansas. And my son looks at it every day. Kansas's kitchen, and they're always in the top 4 in the nation culinary-wise. They had a new kitchen built 2 years ago. It was $2.6 million.
Wow. Just in the kitchen?
In the kitchen. We're looking at, and...
You're working in the old home ec room.
But I'm not complaining, because I have something they don't have.
Though.
I have something they don't have. I have the best students anywhere, because they believe in the program, I believe in them, and they believe in themselves. So I'll compete with my home ec kitchen. Mind you, I'd like a new one, but that's a different story. But I will compete with that. But when you look at what every other school gets to have, I was fortunate to have a mentor with me this year in his insight. So I don't know. We'll be back there.
We are resourceful, yes.
Thank you.
And I just want to jump in. I don't know. I don't know how often. Go ahead.
Come on, Craig, so we can introduce you. You just looked really good on screen.
Yes.
Congratulations, Craig.
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say thank you to Pat for helping out with that. I don't know how often administrators get involved in stuff like this, but I don't think it's very often, and I think that's commendable as well. So thank you, Pat.
It was a real pleasure for me to do that. Thank you.
See you.
So when are you going to open the restaurant?
Well,
When you get funding?
all honesty, they did some grassroots researching. We've had some great phone conversations from Baltimore. We've emailed a sustainable expert in England who emailed us back. I mean, it was great. And one of the chefs I've been working with for years with the school, Chef Garcia, who's at 606 Congress in Boston, is looking at making a sustainable restaurant. And he asked us if he could use part of the business proposal in it. And he will give us full credit when he does it. So, I mean, so when we look at the level of work that they did, not me, that they did, it's right up there with, at the professional level, so.
Definitely. Great work, everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, I think this is a good example of just real life skills, and these are things that hopefully these young men and women will go on and utilize in their life. And clearly, our teachers are doing a tremendous job. So
Thank
it's
you
great
for
to see.
bringing him.
Yes, thank you guys. With that, we'll move to comments from the general public. Are there any this evening? Step up to the mic and state your name and address for us, please.
Good evening. I'm Rosemary Hanlon, 5-Page Circle.
Rosemary.
And I am the Vice Chair of the Town of Carver Planning Board. And I'd like to thank you for this opportunity. And the reason that I'm here this evening is because I just wanted to share some of the new discussion that's going on with the temporary moratorium for medical marijuana. When we voted this year for president, on that ballot was also whether we wanted to have marijuana in this state for a number of different reasons, but basically municipal, doesn't even want to come out tonight. Medicinal purposes, thank you. And I just want to take a minute and read what I've gathered because we're in the process of putting together a subcommittee, so I'd like any comments, suggestions, ideas, whatever you have, you can get in contact with me. The purpose of this public hearing, scheduled in May of 2012, is to see if the town of Carver will vote to amend the town's zoning bylaw by adding a new section defined as 4950, temporary moratorium on medical marijuana treatment centers, that would provide as follows, and further to amend the table of comments to add section 4950, temporary moratorium on medical marijuana treatment centers.
So that was, just to correct, May of 13, correct, this year?
This year.
Yes.
Within the next couple of weeks will be the public hearing.
So we're looking at putting a moratorium on the dispensaries? Yes.
Yes. Well, on the law.
Sure, and clearly a topic that does affect the young people of our community, so.
Yes.
One that.
Some of the proposed changes to the town land use ordinance will be forming a subcommittee, and some of the things are as follows. A subcommittee proposing an initial application fee and a renewal fee for cultivation facilities. Plans to address dispensary rules in more depth. Massachusetts law is so vague and poorly written, a lot depends on our own local ordinance. Basically, 4 uses regarding medical marijuana. 1, the patient. 2, the caregiver, the latter of which can grow and provide plants for up to 5 patients. Neither of these can be touched by zoning ordinance. This is under the Massachusetts state law. We never get to know the user or the actual caregiver. That information is all confidential. The only people that get to know them are the state. 3 and 4. The other 2 uses, however, are what the moratorium will temporarily halt. The first is a dispensary or compassion center, which is an establishment that can provide or sell marijuana to users. The other is centers that don't necessarily provide marijuana, but instead allow users to socialize, educate themselves, and buy products related to medical marijuana.
Do we, and I hate to speed you along, do we have a date for when the citizens need to come out to the meeting on that, or when is that open forum? Do we have a date yet, or?
Within the next couple of weeks will be the public hearing where we will vote if we want to accept the temporary moratorium.
Okay.
But you don't have a date yet.
So there's no date that we can give. This is just, we want to give the public a
I'm
chance
not sure
to know.
if it's next Tuesday or the following Tuesday.
So where would
Actually,
where
I
would
tried.
they look to find the information?
It'll be in the newspaper. It'll probably be on CCAT. And I tried to call the planner this evening to zero in on a date because it did have to be changed, and he was probably preparing for the selectmen's meeting tonight, so I didn't get to talk to him. But I will get the information, and I can let you know.
That'd be great.
The subcommittee will also study and analyze the town's existing ordinance and recommend amendment aimed at protecting the town from effects including a shortage of or excessive burden on public facilities or services. In this case, police coverage. Carver has only 15 sworn-in full-time police officers who currently cannot provide 24-hour coverage. Among the provisions, officials are considering the definitions, a fee schedule, amendments to the land use table, and performance standards according to the notices issued. The law needs to include the creations of nonprofit, government-sanctioned clinics and marijuana cultivation centers. It's tough here with
Sure.
only one wing.
If for time's sake, if there was more information, where can people find that, just so they can be caught up before this public hearing where the vote will take
I'm not aware of where there's information. I just have, just a little blurb.
Gotcha.
However,
So
it'll be a public hearing, and people will have to vote whether they want the temporary moratorium.
Sure.
Which will stop any movement until June of 2014. And then in that time frame, we hope to have a subcommittee put together so we can work on
So this will be a special town meeting then?
No, it will be with the,
It'll be at the planning board meeting?
no, there'll be a public hearing within the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
To whether we want to put this on the warrant at the town meeting.
Gotcha. So, and just thank you for your time, and just to be sensitive for our
Can
time
I
this
just
evening.
finish
Sure,
it?
if you
Well,
could
yeah.
wrap that up for us.
Yeah. Third-party based operations like California's based Berkeley Patients Group Medical Marijuana to run the state clinics. Locations developing a marijuana cultivation facility. And lastly, the town enacted a moratorium so medical marijuana cultivation guidelines could be crafted, including the proposed fee and other rules.
Great.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you for that information. I would encourage the community, as we've learned with the solar topic, here's another one that if our community doesn't get involved from the beginning, we don't know what we could be in for. So I would encourage the community to, if this is a topic that is important to you, get involved. And if you can keep us up to date when those things are, that would be great.
I will get back. Thank you.
Thanks, Rosemary.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the general public before we move on? With seeing that, we'll move on to comments from the APC. Donna.
Hello, Donna.
Hi, everyone. Donna Ramsey, President of the Education Association of Plymouth and Carver. I'd like to welcome the 2 new committee members, although I hear that you come very experienced, so that's all good. Earlier this evening in executive session, you saw the drafts of the negotiated language for the new evaluation tool. For the general public, Massachusetts legislature has been very busy, not only with the marijuana and everything else, but they have, there's a new law in the books that gives guidelines for new teacher evaluation across the entire Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And as a result of that law, MTA and the Department of Secondary and Elementary Education have given us guidelines and suggested language. And in Carver, we chose to have a joint labor management committee that was made up of the administrators, Meredith, and of course, I can't even remember your name, Liz. So isn't that awful? And Liz. And we all sat down together and we went through all of these suggested language, verbiage or whatever you want to say. So we came up with what we feel is a fair evaluation tool for everybody. And on Monday, May 20th at 3:30 at Carver High School in the auditorium, we will be having a ratification meeting. And in the buildings right now, there's a hard copy of what the tool looks like, and it's quite lengthy. And on our website, there are links to be able to have people be able to access it, to be able to look at it more themselves. So I thank administration and my team for doing such a fabulous job. And once again, this is a state law, so these changes have been required by the legislation. So, and one more time, I'd like to congratulate Carver for another fabulous honor, especially with the culinary department. And it shows you that educators don't necessarily have to be the teachers in the classroom. Right, Pat? That Carver is filled with educators. So thank you very much. It's my honor. Thank you.
Well, and our congratulations again to you and your team for just the great work that was done in partnership with the district side, and what a great team it is here in Carver, and that's something that we should be proud of.
Yes, we should be, because not all school systems and labor unions get along as well as we did, and I think we really made a difference. A special shout out probably to Lorraine Rogers. She was also on that committee, and she will be retiring this year. So she's been very, very active with that. She was also the EAPC treasurer. So for the last 4 years, she has really stepped up. So special shout out to her. So thank you.
Thank you, Donna.
And sorry, Liz, one of those moments. I'm over the age of 40, so I might not be able to go to that restaurant.
I'm shocked.
So, it's one of those moments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Donna.
I don't see our young people, so we will pass over the Student Advisory Council and Captain's Council this evening. And we'll move on to approval of minutes from the April 8th session. We'll give a pass to our newbies. So James, Paul, and myself.
Yes.
I would like to make a motion to accept the minutes as written for the 8th.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is unanimous. With that, we will move on to communication. Liz?
Yes, the first under Section A is Anne Marie makes up a wonderful calendar for us, and the middle high school secretaries put these together as well. And so you can have a really bird's eye view of everything that's happening between now and graduation and the end of school. So this can be on your refrigerator if it applies to your family, and if you want to attend as school committee members, we really hope you can. Then another one is upcoming events. I do want to change one thing, that we had to change the high school band and chorus, which was scheduled for tomorrow night, but because we have tennis and track, we had to reschedule, because of course, being a small school, all our musicians are also athletes. So it's going to be Thursday night, which is May 16th. So if you could just change that, and the general public should know that the high school, middle school concert, just the high school band and chorus will have their concert on Thursday the 16th. It's also on the website, the changes. So that's, and just call to your attention all the different things that are happening for the end of the year. The next communication was very well received. It was a double hitter. We were accredited through NEASC, and now we also have our reaccreditation for our kindergarten, which we owe a great deal of gratitude to all of the kindergarten teachers and Paula Foley, who leads them through this process. And we have a kindergarten teacher right here. And thank you very much for all your work you put into this to help us maintain our accreditation. D, then in the world of nutrition, the rules have changed significantly on what we can serve and how large the portions are. And so this has made a huge impact on the food service industry in schools in general and here in Carver as well. The higher nutrition required foods are also more expensive. So we will hear more about that at another time, but this is just to show you that we have 2 audits of our nutrition standards coming up, and we're very well prepared for them by Kath Farrar, our food services director, and Pat, who works with her. And then the last one, I have another great thing to celebrate, is Sam Estes was put forward to the Boston Society of Civil Engineers as the #1 winner in our school, and they ranked number 52 in the state, which is no small feat for his bridge, so we wanted to congratulate him. And those are all of the communications.
Liz. Comments or discussions on those before we move on? Seeing none, we'll move to reports from the superintendent.
Sure. I have to get my prop. Scott, you want to come on up?
How's that knee doing?
And nothing
Moving.
with me.
You're moving.
Just myself.
No brace, no
brace, no
crutches?
crutches. No. Let's move in the right direction.
So we had mentioned this beforehand. They each have one, yeah. That as one of my goals for superintendent, I wanted to explore the dual enrollment possibility for our students to take classes at Cape Cod Community College and get credit for them in high school, as well as from the college, to encourage students to continue their postgraduate education even before they leave. And I'll turn it over to Scott.
And just before I begin, I'd also like to recognize the culinary team for their outstanding performance. And as we interview teachers, one of the things that I always say to them in kind of my introduction is I say that one of the greatest strength of our school district lies within our students. It lies within our students because they will rise to the expectations that are set for them. So we want people who will come in and challenge our students, and they will reach that level. And the work that Mr. Portlands has done in our school is an example of that. And I think we saw an example of that this evening. In terms of dual enrollment, so we've entered into a partnership with Cape Cod Community College to give students the opportunity to take courses at the school in which they would earn both high school credit and college credit, the concept of dual enrollment. To qualify for the program, students must be 16 years of age, they must be either a junior or senior in high school, and they must have a grade point average of 3.0 so far in their high school careers. Based on those qualifications, we identified 84 students who currently meet the criteria. And really, those students have 2 pathways in which to take a course. The first pathway would be students would have the opportunity to take a course on our campus. So Cape Cod Community College, through a grant I believe that they have received, was willing to provide the professor, and the course will be taught on our campus. And the course will be free for our students except for books. And at the end, I'll let Liz talk about the grant and how we're going to administer the grant, that in the end, hopefully these courses will not cost our students any money. So one option is that our plan is to run a course in the fall and give students the opportunity to take that course at Carver Middle High School free of charge. So that's one way in which they could take a dual enrollment course. The second pathway is students could just choose to go take any course that they were interested within the course catalog that's at the 100 level or the introductory level of the college, and they would just have to travel down to the campus to do that. They could do that in the summer, they could do it in the fall semester, or they could do it in the spring semester. So any of the semesters are open to students to do that. And I think we'll have students take both pathways. So to start with, we've had a meeting with the 84 students who are eligible. We made them aware of the choices available to them, and we just gauged some general interest. And our response from the students is, at least at the beginning point, we have over 40 students who demonstrated some level of interest that they would consider either taking the course at our school or traveling down to Cape Cod Community College to take a course. And ultimately, the course that they would take would be a college course taught by a college professor, meeting the number of hours of a college course. So the course we're going to run at our school would be 3 hours, 1 night a week for the entire fall semester. Again, possibly 3 hours, 1 day a week for the entire spring semester, matching the college schedule. Same in the summer. If the students chose to take a summer course, they would go down and take the summer schedule, which I believe is 4 nights a week for either 4 or 5 weeks.
2 sessions. There's two
sessions. There's 2 summer sessions. Usually one that goes June to mid-July, one that goes mid-July to mid-August. And students would have the opportunity to do that. Ultimately meaning this really is a college course that they're taking and following the college schedule. Ultimately, what is the benefits for our students to do this? One, it will give them access to courses that we currently cannot offer at Carver Middle High School, and possibly if they're going down to the campus, access to resources that we don't have in terms of science labs, computer labs, technologies that just currently aren't available within the school. So it's just a tremendous opportunity for students to take and have options that we currently can't offer within our school. It also will enhance the student's high school transcript. So as they go out to apply for colleges, to see that they've already taken a college course on their transcript would be a real benefit for them as they compete with other students trying to get into any level of school. Ultimately, they can earn college credit. The best part of dual enrollment is they earn credit from Carver Middle High School. They also would earn college credit from Cape Cod Community College. And that credit can be transferred when they enroll in other schools or if they chose to enroll at Cape Cod. So if over their career at our school they took 2 or 3 courses or 2, they would enter Cape Cod Community College with those courses under their belt if they chose to go there. If they chose to go to Cape Cod for a year and then transfer to another school, all the credits in which they enrolled with would be accepted and then most likely be able to transfer over. It's not a guarantee. It depends on the courses that are offered. So some of our discussion with the college in terms of the course we're going to offer is what courses do you have agreements with other colleges to automatically accept? So for example, one of the courses we're talking about offering is called Human Communications, which is just a general communications course, but it's a humanities course that most colleges would have as a prerequisite or as a general ed requirement. And they feel like that course is pretty transferable almost anywhere. So the idea would be to give students a little bit of a leg up in terms of as they go through the process. Another possible benefit is for some of our AP students. Is if they chose to go to Cape Cod Community College for a year out of high school, Cape Cod would accept all of their AP credits, which could almost, for some of our students who we have the AP honor roll because we've been increasing our enrollment in AP courses, and students are scoring the score of 3, 4, or 5 that they need to earn credit for those in college, that Cape Cod would accept all of those credits, and then those credits could possibly be transferable into a state college or another private college in which the students enrolled. So that, in some ways, that could really save students a decent amount of money over time. So there's a lot of enhanced benefits for students to take these courses. So what have we done so far, and where are we in the process? What we've done so far is we've received the grant from Makepeace, so Liz wrote the grant, and I'd like to thank her for taking the time and doing that. And I think that's an outstanding opportunity fiscally for our students. We've had a meeting with the students who are eligible, and they've displayed a level of interest. We gave them a survey on what types of courses we might offer. And at this time, we're in the planning stages of having a parent meeting. So all of the students who are eligible, even if they said they weren't interested, we're still going to invite their parents to a meeting because maybe their parents might be interested. I think we'll have the most success with those students who are both they're interested and their parents are interested. But we might have some students who their parents might convince them that they're interested. So we're in the process of setting up a parent meeting at this time, and hopefully that's going to happen within the next 2 or 3 weeks. And at the meetings that we've had, Cape Cod has really had a strong presence. The president, John Cox, has come to each of the meetings. So we've had the president of the college. He came down to meet with the students. We've had the vice president of academic and student affairs, Susan Miller. We've also had the director of admissions, Matthew Cormier. They've attended all the meetings that we've had with them so far, and they plan on attending the meeting with the parents, saying that they're really behind this. So ultimately, our goal is that we will run a course in the fall, and based on the early student response, next fall, Carver Middle High School will be offering a Cape Cod Community College course on campus for our students that will not cost them any money. We'll also have the opportunity to have some students to go down to the college and take some courses that they're really interested in terms of their specific area of study or interest. So that's kind of a summary and overall where we are right now. And Liz, I don't know if you want to add to that any specific details.
So on Thursday, we received our check. I don't think they'll take it at the ATM, but they do give us a real check. And I wrote the grant to enhance the likelihood of our students taking part in this, because college textbooks are well over $100 now. And so that not only will they get tuition free from the grant that the college has, but they will also be able to purchase their books and other, there would be lab fees if they took a science course, etc. Cape Cod will help with individual enrollment in their courses on campus, but this money could also go to pay for specific courses. They're about $450 to $500 per course. The other thing that's possible is that if a junior decided they wanted to enroll in one a semester for their junior and senior year and maybe one in one summer, there are a lot of certificates that you could get that they could be earning money while they were in college. For instance, they have certificate programs for technology assistance, certificate programs for early childhood education. So there are a lot of opportunities for students to be able to skip over a year's worth of tuition even at Cape Cod Community College, because if they took enough courses, they would, and apply their AP courses, they would, significantly reduce their tuition burden. So I'm very excited about it. The kids were very responsive to it, and the college has been just really terrific. And we really look forward to this program and just getting kids really connected with the college experience before they even leave high school. So, and we thank Makepeace once again. They never turn us down. They've been the most loyal supporters of Carver. I counted it up today. They've given us over $130,000 in 7 years. So it's a lot of money. So I'm really excited that this is going to benefit our students.
Great comments from the committee.
Yeah, I actually think this is phenomenal, Liz. It's really nice to see something like this going through. I hope it works out effectively like that. Anybody who's serious about college, that word free credits is like a golden ticket, anything to start on that track. And I think it's awesome to see that opportunity being created for them. We work really hard to always bring up that bottom, but it's nice to know that we're creating that opportunity for those that are willing to race ahead too. And I think this is a great program and a great thing to get going. Hopefully it can expand if possible.
Well, the college, their funding is based on the availability of higher ed funds for these grants, but it dried up for a period of time, but now it's back in full swing, so hopefully we'll continue to be able to offer this. And the idea is that if students know in advance with college scholarships from the university, even after the Makepeace grant runs out, then it's easy enough to earn half of $500 in a summer that they could put towards a fall course, in the future. But you want to give them the taste of it up front. Mm-hmm. I did want to point out that is not Carver High School on the back.
I wasn't going to point it out that their person did select the wrong Carver High School. That is a Carver High School, just not ours.
Yeah. I'm just curious so if the students take a certain number of classes during the day now, and then they sign up for a college course?
So under our current program of studies for dual enrollment, the course that the students take will not be counted in their GPA or in their class rank. And we can discuss the benefits of that either way. And then also, they are still required to take a full schedule within the school.
Yeah.
So the purpose of dual enrollment is to enhance their opportunities, not to replace their education through the school process. So they'll still have the full 6 classes during the day, and then just be taking a night class at night, which is that's a tremendous commitment. And I was really pleased to see 40 students show initial interest. Around a little more than right around half of the students who are eligible said, yeah, conceptually, this is something I'd be interested in pursuing. Obviously, we got to get down to the details of what night is the class actually going to be offered, and then that may bring some kids on or take some students off.
And will you guys keep us updated in future meetings as to?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's exciting. I love it. Thank you for doing it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. We did want to bring you up to date on personnel. We have a lot of retirements. New since our last meeting is Gil Barricat is going to retire after many years of service as our music teacher and band at the elementary school. Barbara Bryant, middle high school English teacher, is retiring. Julie Danahy, a middle high school math teacher. Ron King, both our department chair and social studies teacher. And as Donna mentioned, Lorraine Rogers has been a middle high school science teacher with us for quite a while. Karen Sacchetti, grade 2. And Ellie Sirk, school adjustment counselor, is also retiring. And since I wrote this up last week, our elementary nurse is also, one of our elementary nurses is also retiring, Connie Pooler. So we thank these people for all their service, and we're going to have a wonderful party on the 22nd, I believe. Is that right, Anne Marie?
Yes, it is.
So, and the school committee, of course, is invited. You are co-hosting with the EAPC, this party at Southers Marsh. So it's on your list of upcoming events. And we've been busy interviewing and hiring. We have hired Amy Furtado as the associate principal. You remember that Zach Wadaker left in the fall, and rather than go on a search in the fall, we appointed Kathy McDonough as an interim, and now we have hired Amy Furtado. She comes to us from New Bedford as a 4th grade teacher, and this is her first year in administration. We're quite excited to have her. Ruby and her team did a nice job.
And she'll be getting when? In the fall?
She'll begin July 1.
July.
You know, that's summer work. We hired Joe Bianco as a long-term sub to replace Ron Mitchell, who retired in March, and we decided to keep him. So he's going to be coming on as the social studies teacher at Carver Middle High School. We have recently hired 3 English teachers, which I'll talk to you about in June, and one of them graduated from the high school where I taught for a long time, and I taught both his brother and sister, but not him, so that was quite a shock to see him walk in. But the education world is a small world. So we are busy replacing our very seasoned and teachers that we will miss, but we are gratified with the qualifications of the people we've been able to recruit. Any questions about that? All right, I'm going to ask Pat and Dave.
Okay, we're actually Dave is going to do most of the talking, but I think everybody realizes that up at the middle high school, we do have a wastewater treatment plant that is original with the building. Over the last 10 to 12 years, we've been working with the DEP, with our Department of Health, particularly our Department of Health agent, Mr. Tinkham, in keeping the wastewater plant operative, even though the DEP has not allowed it to be permitted. So it's been running.
How many years has it been?
It's been about 10 or 12 years. But that's also under their direction and under their guidance. This was all known, and we've worked with them. We get together with them every year or so. We talk about how things are going, and basically say, okay, they're seeing that we're taking care of business and doing things, and the reality of it is the plant doesn't qualify to be permitted. But they understand the situations, they understand the expense of doing it and so forth. Up to about this point, where a year ago or so, we met with them and they said, okay, we've got to step this up a little bit now and really decide what is it
we're going to do here in the future. One of the things they required, and one of the things that we did, and I'll ask Dave to talk a little bit more about the technical part of it. We had to hire a qualified engineering firm to do an analysis of the plant. Inflows, outflows, readings, numbers of gallons used, and so forth. We accomplished that analysis. The engineering firm provided a report to the DEP, and it was about a month or so ago that we all went down and met with the DEP to let them indicate to us what the results, what they felt our future options with the plant are. Now, this is not something that we have to do immediately, but we do have to do something within the foreseeable future, probably within the next 2 years. And then with that, I want to turn it over to Dave, who's also going to do a little facilities update afterwards. And at this point, it is just going to be informational. I know it says handouts will be provided, but this is just going to be informational. We're not going to have any handouts. So with that, Dave, would you follow up, please?
Certainly. Okay. Yeah, and as Pat said, this came about for a few reasons. DEP has been said, okay, you know, what are your plans? And also the plant being 26 years old, all the equipment there has reached its life cycle. So regardless, even if DEP mandated that we do something, it's time for an equipment upgrade out there if we were going to keep the plant. So based on the report and the findings from JC Engineering, basically through DEP, we have several options to proceed forward at this point. The actual discharge flow measurements that were recorded at the plant show that we are below the maximum upper threshold limit for a Title V system at that facility. So what that means is basically our flows at the high school, middle school are below 5,000 gallons a day. That is the maximum if you were to have a Title V field. Anything above that, you need to have a wastewater treatment plant. Our levels are below that, which means we can ask for a permit for a Title V field. Basically, a Title V field is what we installed at the elementary school. Those flows were identical to what we have at the high school, middle school presently. So what that would be basically decommissioning the wastewater treatment plant and going to a Title V field. So there would not be an operational wastewater treatment plant at the high school, middle school anymore.
Dave, would you just elaborate a little bit? Is it the reasoning then that we're not able to get permits is because of the age of the equipment, or is there another reason why we can't get the permits?
No, it's because of the age of the equipment and the updated, we would have to do denitrification on nitrogen levels are high in the equipment that is there. We do not have the capability of denitrification. So basically that would require a plant upgrade. Gotcha. If the plant is to stay operational.
And if you're going to upgrade, we would need to do all the equipment. So that's
correct.
Really
and that would be our second acceptable option for the existing building would be to completely upgrade that plant and to make it so it can do denitrification and meet the new requirements of a wastewater treatment plant on that site. So that would basically be a full renovation of that plant. The other option, if you will call it, would be, there's been talk about possibly another building on that site, and if you were to build other buildings on the high school, middle school complex, that would change a lot of things. It would bring a lot of additional costs, reason being the plant would have to be built to handle the additional flows. It would require additional wells, and that brings a lot of changes because when you have a well, there's what's called the wellhead protection area. You have a zone 1 and a zone 2. There's all kinds of regulations what can be in those zones. If we go to a Title V field, we have to locate the field outside of our Zone 2 protection area, which means they look at the way the groundwater flows. So basically, you're not contaminating your drinking water because they are on the same site. If you were to put another building on that site, it would require another well. Your Zone 1 and 2 areas are enlarged immensely. So that would not be just looking for a spot for another building. You can't have parking lots in a Zone 2, you can't have certain athletic areas because of fertilization requirements. If that were to be built up as a complex, it would require a lot of thought. And that would have to be engineered. That's beyond what I can say, yes, it can be done, it cannot be done, but I do know it would bring a lot onto the table just besides making the plant capable of handling 2 buildings. So it would, there'd be relocation of athletic fields, irrigation. There would be a lot that goes on with that option, that goes along with it. The present, I have costs, rough costs for those. Obviously this was, what JC did was a feasibility. We went to the Board of Health, presented that with them, and the ball is in our park, and our court now to say, okay, this is which way we're going to proceed. Right now, presently, to operate the wastewater treatment plant is about $30,000 to $35,000 a year operating costs. That is the labs that I have to have done to send to DEP, utilities, chemicals, and some miscellaneous things to keep it operational. So with a Title V field, basically most of that goes away. It would have to be a pump system, so there would be minimal utilities. But other than that, the only maintenance would be bi-yearly pumping like we do at the elementary school. Would be the only operational maintenance costs for a Title V system. Rough estimate to install a Title V system and decommission the existing plant probably has an upper limit of $400,000, we're told. But don't hold me to that because it hasn't been engineered out yet, but that's their best guesstimate. Yeah. To upgrade the existing plant for the high school, middle school building only would be about $1.5 million in costs.
That would encompass all of the nitrate improvements and all of that.
Correct, for the building that sits on that site. If you were to build it for another building on that site, very rough ballpark, talking with them would probably be $3 million plus.
And I think for the public's process in this, I think when we talk about another building, we're thinking about potentially another, people have discussed maybe that be a future home for the new elementary school.
Correct.
And that, Mr. Chair, is if it were to be, and again, this is about the wastewater plant, not about a school, but just informationally, if another facility were built upon that campus, and it were to be about a $3.5 million cost for the wastewater treatment plant, as far as a MSBA reimbursement goes, you would only be reimbursed for that portion of it that would be associated with the new construction. The other part of that cost, say it was 50-50, so you'd be $1.75 million would be reimbursable, $1.75 million straight out of pocket.
Well, if and only if the total cost of site preparation doesn't exceed 8% of the budget.
And that would, well.
So the number, most likely, so yeah, I mean, you're talking half of the project and then whatever percentage of that.
Right.
So you're talking maybe a quarter of your expenses are going to be covered by the state, potentially.
But if the site preparation, total site preparation went above 8%.
Then that number drops even more.
Yes.
Yep. Correct.
Only 8% is reimbursable is the way to look at it.
Gotcha.
I have a question, Mr. Chair. I know nobody was here 26 years ago, but what was the purpose of the wastewater treatment plant in the first place and the advantages to having it at the time?
I couldn't answer that specifically why it was built. The plant was built to handle up to 30,000 gallons of wastewater a day. We do under 5, which also is not the best for the plant because there's bugs that basically eat the organic material, and we do not provide enough food for the bugs. So I also have to supplement in with chemicals to help the process.
So we have a lot of bugs?
We have a lot of bugs and not enough food. And when you don't have enough food, the bugs die. And I know at one time, I think actually Carver took in outside waste it helped the plant process, but I don't know. That brought other problems as well.
And it's dormant in the summer. You know, that's another.
It's not being used, right?
Yeah, and actually this past summer, I completely shut the plant down for maintenance.
So when we talk about maybe upgrading or if we're adding another building, I'm guessing we would make are there smaller plant sizes? Because clearly this one would be too large for our volume.
Right, I don't.
We'd be making one to fit more of the needs of what we have versus.
I'm sure you would add on, yes. I don't know the regulations. They probably, just like where we're under 5,000 gallons, they actually double that number. So the field would be sized, so if there was ever, it's.
Right, in this case, we can make it for maybe 15,000 gallons versus
Correct.
30.
Yeah.
We don't need to overkill, so to speak.
Correct, yeah.
Gotcha.
And the equipment that goes in, I don't know. I operate that one, I know that one, but I don't, as far as new technology out there.
There can be various sizes to.
Correct,
to needs.
yes.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Any other?
Basically, we build what the DEP told us to build.
Sure.
You know.
Sure.
Yeah. So at this point, we will decide which way we want to go. And the Southeast Regional Office of the Department of Environmental Protection and the Board of Health have been very cooperative, and they're willing to work with us to reach a sustainable solution for the Carver schools. They realize we're a nonprofit. Anything we do there is out of pocket. We're not bringing in proceeds that allow us, and that's why they've been so generous as to allow us to operate without a permit. However, what we're doing, they realize too, we're not contaminating the ground.
Well, I guess that was my point. Is the nitrate level so high that it's creating a drinking issue, or
No, it's not.
No.
No, but they are beyond today's limits of what is acceptable, yes. And there are monitoring wells that are placed in between where we discharge from the wastewater treatment plant and the drinking water, and quarterly I take water samples out of those wells, and those are evaluated as well. And that was all part of this process too, looking at all those readings.
Any other comments or questions from the committee?
So in that, they looked at everything, not only the plant, they looked at enrollment, projections. So we're not, I would like to see a Title V field. I believe that would be the most sustainable solution for the district. It's going to be the cheapest to operate. It's going to be the least maintenance. It's going to be the least problematic. And it's not going to be something that is going to be a problem 5 years down the road too, because I'm always looking for future what's best for the
And
district.
to that point, if we build another facility on there, can you build another Title V to meet the needs of that facility?
No.
No, you wouldn't be able to.
No.
Because they would be in.
No, because that piece of property, part of that whole water usage we looked at, that piece of property also contains the DPW garage and the transportation garage. Those water usage figures were factored in as well. The property is not big enough for another well and another Title V field.
Okay.
So sometime between now and December of next year, we need to have a plan to go forward.
And the point of this whole thing was just to let you know what we've been doing and to give you some idea of, where the DEP is on this. We don't have safety issues, we don't have contamination issues, but they just said, okay, it's time enough now, and let's do something. And there are, I think David had talked about 3 options. I think number 2 was almost a moot point because we are below the threshold. So it looks like it, would really come down to probably, number 1 or number 3. And this is just kind of a first step into letting you know, what this information is, how DEP feels about it. We've got, valid engineering studies and so forth. We're working very, very closely with Mr. Tinkham and the Board of Health. And everybody's right on top of this. And now it's going to be up to the, school committee or whomever to decide in the next probably 18 months or so, what is it going to be?
I
And
think
so-
the role is the school committee puts forth a plan that they would like to see happen, and then we have to seek funding from
Well,
capital
right.
outlay.
We have to figure out how to fund this.
Yeah.
So that's where we just are right now.
But it would be upon our recommendation.
Sure.
Because the Board of Health's already been involved
Since day
one, and they love Title V. That's what they really like it, so.
Great.
Thank you for all your work.
Look
Thank
forward
you
to
both.
hearing more as we move forward.
Very good. And I can give you a quick buildings update. Just normal climate control problems when the season's first warm weather comes. Minor things, nothing major to report so far, so that's a good thing. You've probably noticed there is a new sign on South Meadow Road in front of the high school, middle school. It is not functionable yet. I am waiting on NSTAR because we need to refeed that sign with a new voltage, and we have a permit in with them. We're just waiting for their okay so we can put a pedestal meter in and get it powered up, and then once it's powered, the company will come back and install the software on Mr. Neef's computer, and we'll be up and running. So that's where that stands. And also in the high school lobby, Ray Amaral, our maintenance man, built a bench that was paid for with class funds.
Class of 2011, I believe.
Okay, class of 2011 money. I did a very nice job. Very nice job. And
Okay. Well, thank you to the class, and thank you to our highly capable staff.
Yes. And one last thing, we have not received final confirmation from the capital outlay yet on our level 1 requests. So I can't go forward with anything, but we're hoping to implement all our security upgrades over the summer if they are approved. And that's it.
They're on the warrant for town meeting.
Yes, I believe the requests were put on as a member.
Okay,
It was
so it was-
voted in, and so it'll be up to the town to decide.
Very good.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Next is, I thought, at least once a year, I try to catch you up on what we're required to do. Donna alluded to this. And the legislature has been really very active in mandates. And so I thought I would give you an overview of what we're asked to do, whether or not we have the funding to do it. And only 3 of these mandates, there's a list that's got about 120, but these are the ones I bring to our attention that are more recent. So mandates are those things that all schools are required to do by state or federal law, and either partially funded, like circuit breaker for special education, or completely unfunded, which is the majority of them. And so what I'm going to give you here is just a laundry list, and I'll try to be brief, and then you can ask me questions. There's been quite a lot of change in how we instruct English language learners, and for some towns this is a very big issue, but historically we have 3, 2, 1, and sometimes no English language learners in our district, but we are still required to have all of the teachers trained to be able to provide instruction should somebody move into the district. And they just changed this method that we're required to do, but luckily we're on a cohort 4, which we won't have to do it right away. But it's no money for that, but we have to provide all the training. We have to provide in-district service to students with disabilities who qualify for special education or on a 504 plan. and that is only partially funded through Circuit Breaker. 307 in-district special education students, or 16% of our enrollment, and 80 students on 504s. A 504 provides an accommodation for a student who has either a short-term or possibly a long-term need for accommodations for the regular education classroom. We also provide services in out-of-district placements to students with disabilities who require these services. And this number, through the hard work of Karen Teichert, has been greatly reduced because we've built a lot of in-district programs. And at one point we were up to 34, and now we're down to 24 students in out-of-district placement. We have non-public placements, which are private, and they have a total cost of $831,497. Circuit breaker offset for this is $51,000, and the cost to our budget is $779,818. We have collaborative placements, which is a total cost of $674,120, and the circuit breaker offset for that is $227,136, and the cost to our budget is $446,987. So a total out-of-district cost to our budget is $1.2 million. So that's a lot of money.
Circuit breaker really try to push it towards collaborative placements versus non-public there. I see the percentage is quite different.
Well, it's the way you're allowed to pay for. You get it 1 year in arrears. We get the money for 2013 special ed out-of-district placements in 2014. So you're always running a year behind. So we're allowed by law to pay tuitions ahead. And because the most economical and often the best services are provided by collaboratives, we're allowed to pay that ahead. So we spend more of our circuit breaker money there, because we're always playing catch up.
So that's our choice as far as what goes to circuit breaker?
Yes, yes. Gotcha. We provide services to children ages 3 and 4 years old who have disabilities in our preschool department, and in our preschool. And in district, we currently have 16 students, but that is growing by the day. We provide tuitions to vocational schools, agricultural schools, and charter schools for all Carver students who choose to attend. Norfolk Agricultural, we have 2 students. It is $22,000 per student each year. They're in a special class of vocational schools who are allowed to set their own rates. The others have some limits. And if you add in their transportation costs to send them there, it's well over the Massachusetts State College tuition for a year. So it's Peter Schaefer from Abington Public Schools, the superintendent, is on the Department of Education's study group to figure out how we can contain some of this agricultural school cost. But it was special legislation that allowed Norfolk to charge this, to get this high, and the cap doesn't relate to them. Charter schools and public school students, it's about $164,000 a year that we give to other districts straight. Doesn't ever come to us. It goes straight from the state to them instead of to us.
School choice funds.
That's a little bit different. Charter schools are like Rising Tide, Sturgis. Charter schools.
So when you say public school students, what does it mean by that?
Well, the charter schools are public schools.
Gotcha.
So that's why, I always just like to remind people that it's a public school. And then Bristol Plymouth Agricultural, we have 7 students at $17,860 per student, so we send $125,000 to those students, and we're grateful that our students get the education they want, but it doesn't, our cost per student doesn't nearly cover the cost of educate, it's $5,000 to $6,000 under what we pay out. So it's, the Chapter 70 money doesn't pay half of their tuition, is the point. In school choice, we bring in about $60,000 a year, and we spend about $43,000. We have a few students whose parents teach in other districts and they take their children with them and they go to a school choice district. So that's what that is. And again, you take in $5,000 per child, you know, which for us it saves the teacher's salary every year at least and pays for part of the school choice we choice out. We have 95 students at Old Colony, which is our local regional vocational school, which costs $680,000, but that is in the town budget, not the school side. We provide transportation to all students who attend any vocational or agriculture school, and that costs us yearly $20,000. We provide transportation for all students with disabilities who attend special education schools in and out of district placements, which is a total cost of $400,000. We share transportation costs for all children who are homeless under the McKinney-Vento legislation. There is a bill in the legislature to give us partial funding for this in the future, but right now it's a total cost of about $15,000. In special education, we're required to give extended school year services in the summer to students with disabilities who need to have the regular routines and education in the summer. And we have 139 students, and that does not include the cost of also transporting them to and from school in the summer. We provide educational services after grade 12 through age 22 for students with disabilities who require these services. We have 4 students in our postgraduate program, but we have 1 student who pays us tuition to come in from Middleborough. We often make arrangements with other districts to benefit our students if the program suits them, or we have 1 student who for a while went to Silver Lake Vocational School because he started there and they moved here. And it just made more sense to let him finish in his program there versus transferring to Old Colony. So we make one-time arrangements, and this one works for that student in Middleborough, and it works for us. I do need to, last year I spent a great deal of time going over what the foundation budget was. And the foundation budget was passed by the legislature in the 90s, but it only allowed for 1% of your total school budget to be allocated to all special education cost. If we took 1% of our 2014 level funded budget, that would be $213,000. So the foundation budget cannot pay for 16% of the students in special needs. It's flawed due to many unfunded mandates. So we spend just over $5 million, all special education costs included, which is definitely not 1% of our budget. So just to point out that the foundation budget, it's there for a reason, but they haven't fixed it since the 90s, and it badly needs fixing. In addition to this, we are required to schedule all elementary students into 900 hours of structured learning time, and this does not include lunches and recess. We schedule all secondary students in 6th grade and above into 990 hours of learning time, which excludes lunch and any studies. We have an enormous data burden. Used to be that you send in all these paper reports to the Department of Education and their people entered it. Now we are responsible for entering every piece of data about every student and every staff member, and there are, I'm responsible for about 96 reports which are done by our data person, and you know, I approve the data, we extract the data from our system, but this is a system that has grown, doubled at least every few months about what we're required to report. It's very time consuming. And we have, for the educator information system, now we'll have to input the evaluation data into that, which is a whole nother project. And then student information system, there are now more than 55 fields of data for every student. It must be continuously updated. Discipline reports, attendance. So it doesn't ever end. You're always updating it. there are just some of the reports are school attending children. Anne Marie works really hard to find out from the private and parochial schools where our children choose to attend, who's there. But there's a really, to me, it's very disturbing, is that if a child has never been in Carver Public Schools and they don't choose, a school doesn't choose to report to us, then we don't know that child exists, which, and since I'm in charge of that, it makes me very nervous. We found one just recently who goes to a parochial school, who needed some services. So that's how we found out that child exists. So it's, there's a gap in the whole data system about the private and schools, and also homeschooling fits into that. So that one worries me. We fund 40 hours of shelter English immersion training for every teacher, and it's now changing to a more rigorous requirement, and all teachers must be retrained in the new system. We fund a minimum of 12 hours of evaluation training for every teacher now for the new evaluation. And now we are also required to follow a lot of different U.S. Department of Agriculture requirements for school lunches, and most of those are more expensive. We also are required to provide a trained mentor, and pay them for every new teacher for a minimum of 1 year so they could become professionally licensed, which I believe is the right thing to do. It's a requirement that has no money behind it. Yearly updates on federal and state mandated trainings for all educators, not just teachers, but bus drivers and custodians and paraprofessionals, everyone. So just a few of them are mandated reporting, restraint training 504, and IEP regulations, bullying, intervention, and prevention, and coming soon, the new discipline law. Yearly updates for bus drivers and custodians and paraprofessionals include first aid, CPR, EpiPen, the bullying, and job-specific training for each of these employees that are required by their employee organizations. And coming with the new park, you've heard us talk about this, purchase one-to-one electronic devices, tablets, and/or computers for students to take the required online testing, which will replace the MCAS in 2015. Upgrade the technology infrastructure to support a minimum of 150 students taking an online test at the same time, a requirement, but no money. Train teachers and students to use these devices before the tests are actually implemented. And provide one-to-one tutoring or pay for an out-of-district tuition for students who are suspended. This is the new discipline law, for an extended period of time as of the 2014 school year. Now, I do want to point out that this is the one and only mandate they've given us a year's advance notice. Usually it's, I got an email on Wednesday last week. By May 23rd, I have to have this enormous amount of data and enter it in about our medical, our MERT plan that we presented to you last year. So we usually don't get any warning, so at least this one they told us a year in advance. Provide special education services upon request for Carver students who are enrolled in private and/or public out-of-district schools, such as charter, virtual schools, and many private or parochial schools. If they live here, their taxpayers' dollars they're entitled to special education services, speech pathology, that sort of thing. And then the new education system brings with it a very onerous amount of data and paperwork. So we are purchasing a software system, and we did get a very good deal on this, but more and more and more mandates and not any more money. I think it's worth visiting every year to see what exactly is we're paying for without, really choosing this. Like I said, most of these things you want to do anyway, but it's very hard to implement them with very little advance notice within a budget year. Do you have any questions?
I have a question. So next week, Liz, I believe we're going to visit some of our state legislatures.
Yes, we are.
So could we focus on some of these unfunded mandates when we speak to them? And maybe, this is a lot of overwhelming stuff for any one person, even a legislator. So is there anything particular you'll focus on or will focus on? One of your...
Well, they've done a better job with circuit breaker.
Mm-hmm.
They've increased the funding in circuit breaker. There's rumors it might be another increase in circuit breaker by the time the Senate finishes the budget, hopefully by the end of this week. So they did listen to us on that. You know, transportation is always, you know, we could use some more reimbursement for transportation for special education students. We don't have to have very many, but the new reimbursement for homeless students' transportation was out of direct result from meeting with the legislatures. But a city like Danvers was paying out $500,000 a year because there were a lot of homeless shelters in the town. So she listened to Suzanne Bump, and she got this through the legislature. So things, you know, I think what I would like is more planning time for this, especially like for the online testing. We really weren't given, we needed 5 years to plan for, purchase, and they really gave us no planning time and said it must be done by 2015, which is hard. So I think advance notice is my message. I know that you can't print money, so.
Right, that's for sure. But
So-
I think that'll be effective.
I think it will be effective if we talk to our people.
And we're always encouraging citizens to call and write, but
Yes.
we're going to go right up and visit in the belly of the beast and tell them how we feel about
That's
things.
right.
So, and represent Carver well.
We will. So, the next, is there any more comments? The next thing on the agenda is the MSBA statement of interest, and we have heard nothing from them. Today I did, just anticipation that they might call us, I printed out the 2013 regulations, which I thought the statement of interest was bad, but this is, requires a whole new level of work. So if I hear anything, you all will be the first to know.
Great.
And we moved the culinary team up.
Yes, we did.
And one of the ways we spend our grant money is on professional development, and we have a lot going on. Meredith's going to tell us about it.
Thank you. So last month we had the opportunity to talk about the different revenue streams with grants and talk about entitlements versus competitive grants and that sort of thing. And so there is a handout for you that details the vast amount of work that Carver teachers will be doing as part of the preparation for migrating to the Common Core. And as Liz noted in her PowerPoint, she spoke about the upcoming park assessments. And it's true, there is an incredible burden that is being placed on districts to make sure that we have the hardware and the technological readiness to be able to take those assessments. But the other aspect of that is preparing our students for a shift in content and in practice to prepare them for next generation assessments. So a whole new way of assessing students, which will be a lofty undertaking for all of the states, the 46 states that have adopted the Common Core. So as you can see from the handout, the work that we'll be doing this summer for professional development is basically categorized into two separate sections. One is curriculum work, and then in a little bit we'll talk about trainings. So we asked our curriculum team leaders to go back to their professional learning communities and discuss what opportunities they had taken thus far to migrate to the Common Core. A lot of work has been done, particularly around alignment with math and English language arts in both schools, and then to talk about how we can measure that in preparation for ensuring that all of our students are meeting the learning targets. So you can see that in math, science, English language arts, social studies, world language, guidance, and comprehensive health, that at the middle high school level, teachers will be taking course-specific teams and working together to align with the Common Core, and then to make sure that we follow 2 recommendations from NEASC, not just with this past visit, but work that has been laid out throughout the NEASC process in the past, which would include the school-wide rubrics that highlight the 21st century learning expectations, and then having a school-wide curriculum template. So the NEASC committee, working with department chairs and administration, have developed this, and teachers will be using this to make sure that they're meeting the demands of the Common Core. The one exception would be science, and science, in addition to having to integrate the Common Core, will now be looking at the new next generation science standards, which have come out, and of particular interest to the middle school will be making sure that we have a strong enough integration of the different domains in science. So in the past, you might find that schools went to a domain stratified approach, where a certain year would be biology, and a certain year would be earth and space, and a certain year might be chemistry and physics. And at the middle school level, because of the demands of assessment, all of those are put into a spiral so that you touch on a little bit of that every year. And the benefit to that is to illuminate the truly integrated nature of science, but it is going to require some shifting for our middle school. And then with English language arts, the job of reading and writing and being literate is given to all teachers within a school, and the Common Core is very clear about that. And in social studies and in world language and in science, everyone takes a piece of that pie. And new requirements around informational text and text complexity, and how we read and interact with text, and then how we express what we learn through writing and through speaking, will all be part of the new Common Core and the PARC assessment. So our teachers will be working on that, and we can't wait to see the results, and our administrators will be involved as well, and it will be fun. And then you'll also see down under curriculum writing that our kindergarten team has proposed developing a 4-week summer curriculum for students who need that extra boost to make sure that they can meet the demands of the kindergarten curriculum. So statistically, we know that with an incoming kindergarten class, that the range of abilities that exist within that class, typically 60% of incoming kindergartners are at or beyond grade level, but at least 20% are a year behind, and another 20% are 2 years behind. And there have been tons of articles written on the importance of early childhood education, and the $350,000 kindergarten teacher is a favorite article of mine, talking about the importance of getting kids up to where they need to be, because curriculum is pushed down and the demands are pushed down to these little guys. So we're excited about that summer boost program. The second part of the work that we'll be doing has to do with professional development, and we'll be launching a 4-day Carver Elementary Math Academy, which will allow professional learning communities to get together and continue the vast amount of work that they've done already. I would like to compliment the elementary school staff and our lead teachers and administrators in really working in a collaborative effort to prepare for the Common Core. And what is most impressive to me is listening to the dialogue and the conversations, and the level of discourse has changed vastly over the course of the year. And I think that it's really because of the effort and work that those folks have put in. So I just want to compliment them. And then at the high school level, the integrated approach that they've used with their departments as well. In literacy, we'll be having a letters training, which is language essentials for teachers of reading and spelling. And then we'll continue to train our staff in the Keys to Literacy model. And we've done lots of Keys to Literacy trainings in the past with vocabulary and comprehension. And they have just added a writing component for content teachers in science and social studies to, again, meet the demands of the Common Core. we're very fortunate with our leadership teams to focus our work on differentiation this summer with Carol Ann Tomlinson, and then to have Research for Better Teaching continue their work so we can prepare for the new educator evaluation system and make sure that all of our supervisors and evaluators are prepared. And then last but not least, Scott pointed out earlier the fact that we have received the prestigious Advanced Placement Honor Roll Award, and we're very fortunate to be able to send 4 high school teachers this summer to go and get trained in the rigors of that program. And I think that that has made an incredible difference, and it's nice to see that commitment.
This is all during the summer. Teachers are working. So.
Thank you, Mary.
And it's, 100% supported by our teacher quality grant, Title II-A. So this is what helps us provide all this curriculum time for teachers in the summer.
Could you tell me more about that grant? Because I just want to get caught up. I mean, just a little bit about
Oh, yeah,
it.
sure. We get Title I and Title II, which are government, federal government entitlement grants, and they send the money based on the number of children in free and reduced lunch in any state to the state. Then the state has a formula where they push out how much money each school district gets. We get about $57,000 in Title II last year, and this is how we're spending it. It's a little different because the federal grants used to have a September 1st deadline. Now they've gone to the fiscal year of June 30th, July 1, so we've had to reapply and carry over some money to the next year. Just made it a little more paperwork intensive, but so we have, it's supposed to make, the money's supposed to be available so that all teachers can become highly qualified if they are not in their field, or to advance things like the Common Core and readiness for advanced placement and such like that. So we're spending it just like they want us to. And you weren't here, but I've been writing these grants for 30 years, and they only call you and say, you didn't forgot to do this, you didn't do this. And last year the Title II guy sent me an email and says this is the best matched grant he'd read. So so it was nice to get a little bit of thanks for writing the grants. Usually they just call you and say, change that word to say this. Okay, I'll do that. But it's an entitlement grant.
Excellent. Thank you.
Amory graciously provides us with a list of the school committee meetings, so you should take a really good look at this to make sure we work them out, but we're always glad to take input if we haven't picked the right.
Is April 14th President's Day?
Not next year.
Not next year. It's the following week.
It's yeah.
I think that's the only one. Everything else is.
October, it's a late meeting because of Columbus Day.
And then Veterans Day.
And then Veterans Day, so we had to switch out and go a little later. And there's nothing to say we can't change these from if something else comes up.
Anybody else have any concerns with the dates? Thank you.
So we'll accept the dates like they are. And then the next one requires a vote for school choice for kindergarten only. Once accepted into school choice, students have the right to stay with us their entire education. And this will be our 3rd year if we decide to accept it. And as I pointed out, with the offset of either children choicing out, we still realize about $23,000, and it still benefits us because we are not naturally filling up every class, and we're talking about 19 or 20 students per class. We're not talking about more than that. We have 103 kindergartners that are registered at the time I wrote this, and typically we get 10 to 12 more in the summer from people who either moved in or just for some reason didn't hear about the first one. But we feel like we've had a lot of programs, including a preschool parent program, an education program, and we got to a lot more parents this year. So we think we would get only 10 or 12 and not more than that. So this, I believe, leaves us room for 10 school choice students. And you have to vote before June 1st to accept or not accept school choice. And it's my recommendation that we continue this. And we have a lot of people. It's a lottery. Sure. That people have been calling us since, I don't know, every August.
Good couple, 2-3 months.
Yeah.
So have we begun taking a wait list, or do we have a list?
Well, we will put out advertisements if we pass it, and people then fill in an application, and then I put them all in a hat, literally, and
Right, and Emery, judging by the phone calls, the 10 is attainable?
I think it is. I think that because it's been going on for the past couple of years, that,
People
people
want that
have heard
opportunity.
about it and that
Sure.
kind of thing, so there has been a lot of interest.
Sounds good. Well, I will listen for a motion on school choice.
I'd like to make a motion that the committee accepts school choice for 10 school choice students in the kindergarten of 2014 only.
yeah, for next year.
We have a motion and a second. Now open up for discussion. I think school choice has done us well to this point, and I know schools do different ways with school choice, but I think for us, we can manage it well with kindergarten only. It allows us to kind of watch the flow, like you said, and move that group through as we move forward, so. Yes.
I just think too, I would like to ask, I mean, the fact that our kindergarten's full day, I mean, that's gotta make it very popular.
Oh, yes.
And we've seen it be very successful too.
Mm-hmm. Very successful.
Great, well, seeing no more discussion, all those in favor of accepting school choice for school year 2014, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is unanimous.
We have 4 field trips for your consideration. This, the alternate trip for the senior class, the ones who did not go to grad night this year, they would like to go on the 17th to Six Flags. The second one, D, is grad night for next year, for 2014. And in order to solicit interest in the trip, they have to first have a school committee approval of their proposal. Sometimes these things go through and sometimes they don't. We've been pretty successful with grad night for the past 2 years. And then they've also submitted next year's alternate trip for people who don't want to go to grad night to go to Six Flags in 2014.
Back up there.
Well, this is because they somehow forgot to get this year's submitted on time, and so they're doing it, getting ahead of it this time. And then this trip did not go for this year. There's no one going to the Bahamas. For 2 years, they took environmental science trip to the Bahamas in June, and so all of these are very worthwhile, and I do recommend them. So.
I'll accept a motion to accept all of these if there are no opposition to that. That way we can speed up the process.
I move that we approve all the field trips listed.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is unanimous.
And just to remind you, the reason you vote is if they are out of state, international, or more than 75 miles from Carver. And then the rest is yours.
Sounds good. All right, get to that. With that, I just want to follow up on the mid-cycle formative evaluation on the superintendent that we did last time. And I'll make sure I have the right copy here. Just give you feedback on the committee groups as far as the goals that were brought forth. As far as goal number 1, we're on target there. Goal number 2, these pages are fun to follow. On student learning, the group has you on target there as well.
There are 2 goals under number 2.
2 goals on number 2, correct. There we go. School improvement, number 4, we have you on target, and then the same with number 5 as well. So just want to, on behalf of the school committee, our sense is you're doing well, and continue with that work, and as well as, this isn't just a reflection on yourself, but as we know on your team and the great work that's being done there by all staff involved, so we want to commend you and the staff for the great work, and I look forward to seeing what the rest of the year will bring for us. So.
Thank you very much. And by doing this format, this mid-cycle review, as my evaluation, I hope it serves as a model for what we are trying to embark on with the teachers and all other administrators. And I am using this model with the administrators this year too, so I can say honestly to the teachers, I know how much time this takes, because it is more time consuming. So thank you.
Thank you. With that, reports from the school committee. Any thoughts from our committee members tonight? James, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'd just like to, and actually saw Barry, quite a few. I think Gina was there too at the carnival the other night at the high school. And I'd have to say that I think that was the first time that I'd really seen the track out there. And I know Dave has mentioned that a couple of times being in. And congratulations to the girls track team, right? First in the state again. And I'd love to see something done out there as well as they're doing, as hard as they're working to try and come up with something to get something done out there. I think it would be fantastic, because I think they're looking at the record and what they've done has been pretty incredible.
It's on the 5-year plan. We've just not been able to move it forward.
Yeah. But I think that was the first time I'd actually gotten a good look at it out there and being out there. So we're definitely ready for an upgrade there.
Yes.
And congratulations to all the seniors who are about to venture out on a new road pretty soon. I'll see them at graduation, but safe and smart.
Yes. Thank you, James. Barry?
Thank you. I want to thank everyone for putting me back on the school committee, so thank you. But I also wanted to say to the town what a great school we have, which you know, the great school system. I went to a couple of things. I saw James and Gina at the school carnival, which was fantastic, great use of the facility, with the and raised a lot of money for Camp Owendale, I believe. And so my whole family went to that. It's one of the few things we are able to do together, all 4 of us, so we're grateful for that. We attended the Carver High School drama, Once Upon a Mattress, which was, again, another fantastic. I can't believe our little town has all these great singers and actors and actresses. It's just fantastic. So that was quite a great take and more celebration. And let's see, and not a non-school event, but I want to congratulate all the boys and girls for their dance recital, which was held at the Carver High School auditorium. That was fantastic as well, for Carver Dance Center. So thank you. Just wanted to celebrate all that stuff.
Sure. Gina, any
Well,
thoughts?
it's nice to be back, and yes, I was spotted at the carnival, and my family and I, we had a great time, and I thought it was great for the experience. The movie was great, and yes, I also took part in the recital process at the high school, and it's just nice to be back. Thank you.
They cleared over $3,000 from the event, which is a lot for the first time.
That's tremendous. So yes, our congratulations to all those that put effort into the carnival and its success that evening. With that, I will listen for a motion to adjourn.
I'd love to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good evening, all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.